All right, and after a short break, we are back in Studio K. I'm sitting here with the two members of Fifth House. How you guys doing after that performance? How are you feeling?
Giddy.
Giddy?
Yeah,
That's great.
giddy, because we were nervous beforehand.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I don't know, because I remember I used to get like really, really nervous, and like it like passed over time. But this has just been our first gig in a while.
Yeah.
How would you describe the difference between a normal gig and something like this, where there is a very small audience and maybe a larger one that you can't see? Or did it feel the same coming into it?
I feel like it feels better here, I guess, or like better in a smaller environment to me. Well, then again, I feel like I'm biased just because I know this space very well for the most part. But I think I'm just trying to even think about like how many shows that we've had where like there was a crowd that we actually like could not see people that well, and I think something about that can be really nice, but also I feel like if I'm in a situation where like I really like, it's nice when people I know come to a show, but if I know that they're there and then I can't see them, I feel like that doesn't feel as good as like being in like a small environment where like I know you and I've like seen many of your faces before, but like I can see your faces now, and it's like the darkness is not like an aspect of that.
Totally.
I don't know, like to me it feels more like oh shoot, I'm gonna definitely like hear myself when I hit the wrong string, or like I feel like there's like more accountability when it's like intimate.
That's totally.
Which is interesting, because then like when you're in front of like a big crowd, there's so much happening that I feel like a little slip up or a moment that you recognize won't be recognized probably by like a whole bunch of people, like you and like one other person, like, oh, I heard that, you know what I mean? But in this room, it's like, we all hearing the same thing the whole time. So I think that's the big difference.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, totally great answers. I think, there's definitely pros and cons to both a big environment and a more intimate one, for sure. Okay, before we get too far into this interview, I want you both to introduce yourselves. Your name, maybe your artist name as well, and what you play in the group.
All right, my name is Inayah. My name is Inayah. I go by the artist name Soulflower as well. What was the question?
Just, what you play in this group.
I play the bass guitar in Fifth House and vocals.
Very cool.
I'm Zoe. I also release music under the name Yawa Glen. I play guitar. I play guitar in Fifth House, and vocals.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you both have your own side projects then, and I know you're Inayah, you're in Soulflower. Yawa Glen is the name of your. Cool. And how long have you been releasing music or making music under that name?
That's been like kind of like a super casual, just like a dumping ground, I guess, for lack of better words. What was I think the first time I ever posted anything on that SoundCloud account was in 2020, and I posted a demo called Mayday, which I don't know if it's still up, so don't bother looking for it. But there is some music up there, and I feel like I've been using Yawa Glen to also kind of combine with other things that I do, I guess creatively, or other creative outlets, mostly through like any like photo or video stuff, as I'm starting to like venture into a little bit more, just to make some, I guess, like soundtracks for anything that I catch on camera.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and then Soulflower, you want to talk about Soulflower real quick?
Yeah, Soulflower is I started writing music by myself more consistently this past year, and then I started playing with some other musicians through the Cherry Pit, and then I just like met all these different instrumentalists, and ended up kind of just like hopping into like the whole like music scene here in Minneapolis, which has been super fun. But yeah, now I have a Soulflower band with me and Frequency and Aleph Dreg and Zeke, and that's been so fun and fulfilling. So, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, well, speaking of the Cherry Pit, you guys met at the Cherry Pit, is that correct?
Yeah, we did.
And that's where Fifth House started?
Yeah.
And did you pull it together for that show, or did you meet at the show, like during the jam session, or how did that go?
Well, we met at the jam session of, was it volume 4? Yeah, and then we started like practicing together, and then you were like, hey, we could play the next one if we wanted
Yeah,
to.
I had like a set for the next show, and I was like, yo, like, what if we finish this song and then we perform it? So we did.
Yeah.
And then that was like kind of like our beginning together. It was super like spontaneous and like quick and fun. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I just want to give a quick shout out to Leo. We had Leo in a couple weeks ago when we were talking about the Cherry Pit. Wonderful thing he's got going there. But yeah, back to Fifth House. So tell me about the name Fifth House. I know it has astrological connections, but yeah, give it to me.
Oh, yeah.
Both?
Well, yeah, because so the Fifth House in astrology, in at least, well, when we started, we were mostly like focusing on tropical astrology, just to be specific, I guess.
Okay.
And the Fifth House is the house of life, creation, creativity, children,
self-expression.
Just I feel like the best word to like synthesize all of the all of the relational aspects of the Fifth House is just like a blossom, in a sense, where like just the growth of a thing.
Yeah. Cool. Do you feel like your understanding and your connection to astrology enhances your musicianship in some way?
I think and I feel it's definitely been something that has brought us closer, in a sense of being something that we both are aware of, and that can spark conversations that usually are pertaining to like personal personal things in our lives, or you know, things that are going on in our experience. And but I don't think it really like was like clearly it wasn't like the connecting piece, but definitely has helped us like I think like break past like some barriers to like get to know each other better, and also just like you know, when it's crazy day, it's like, where's the moon? Yo, how are you feeling? Yeah, I think the moon is here, or like, you know what I mean? Like we're so it's brought up, but yeah,
I feel like it's just been helpful since like we already like both had a pretty strong understanding of like some of the study of astrology, and like that practice of like pattern making, I guess, and I think it was helpful for us to like identify things that we were also trying to talk about maybe in our songs, in our writing.
Also, I just want to say a cool thing, so like when you look up the time that you were born and the location, you can like find your birth chart, which tells you all like the planets where they were like at when you were born, and like the sun and the moon, and then you get these zodiac placements in those houses, in those planets. So like Mars rules, you know, Aries, you know what I mean? 100% sure. and so like me and Zoe found out that we have the same placement in our 5th house. Which is Leo, which I thought was so sweet and like so like confirming that like we should be like creating together.
Because like what are the odds that like in the way that we met too so spontaneously, that what are the odds that like that placement also like I guess aligns? And though like you could also speak on the spontaneity outside of astrology where it just like does make sense, I feel like if like in knowing us like individually, like it just makes sense that this happened, which is really cool. But I don't know, just another thing to look at.
The stars aligned, literally.
Literally.
Yeah, you did. Excuse my lack of knowledge for astrology, but how many houses are there?
There are 12.
12. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. Awesome. Okay, well, let's go back to your set list today. You played 4 original tunes, correct? The first one you said was the first one that you ever wrote together. Was this? Did you play it at the Cherry Pit the first time that you did?
Yeah.
Cool. And was it made on the spot or?
It was probably like 3 weeks. Probably 3 weeks that we like.
Okay.
Yeah. which is a super interesting way to like write a song and for the first time with another person.
Yeah.
But like it kind of like motivated us and like gave us like I feel like a spark.
Yeah.
To like
a reason to like
Because
to
we got
work.
the main melody, like most of the melody down like the first time we ever like jammed together. And then just from like that point on was just like kind of fine tuning it. And then even after the first Cherry Pit show, like we just fine tuned it like a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then also just like when we started playing with Bob, then like also added an aspect of just like really just like putting different puzzle pieces together.
Yeah.
Totally. Cool. Well, so yeah, that one's called No Name Song, right? And you just couldn't figure out a name for it. That's why it's remained No Name Song.
Basically. Well, because like we would go to rehearsals for like Cherry Pit and they'd be like, what's the song's name? And we're like still writing it. So we're like, we don't know. Like this is like the No Name Song. And so like then when we started performing it, we're like, that's the name of the song.
What is it about? Lyrically, what are you talking about in it?
I wouldn't say it's about a specific thing.
Okay.
I feel like we just like say so much throughout it. I mean,
I feel like I feel like that song feels like a journal entry to me.
I feel that heavily. But the first beginning is like, when you look at me, I hope you only see the brightness in you, and not trying to be in no hierarchy. There's no race. We're all just going home. So it's kind of like it's a statement. It's a couple statements.
Yeah.
It's like when you look at me, I hope you can see like the bright light that's also burning inside of you, and the creativity in you, and the beauty in you, and everything. You know what I mean? And there's no hierarchy. Like I don't feel like in the music scene or like really in any creative space or any space that we need to like put ourselves over one another due to skill or to just like things that we learn throughout our experience or inherently have. You know what I mean? And then so then we go on in the song and
I do have my journal here.
well, it's like somewhere in
there's another verse and then we go
oh yeah, there is.
So I'm just gonna float around, won't let my feet touch the ground, earth child, but I'm flying home. And then it's you.
It's
This is so funny. It's so different to like speak your lyrics rather than just like sing them in like the melody. Like I feel like every time like say like during practice we'll like stop at a point to try and go back, and then I always forget like how to go into it, like if we're starting from like a middle point. But anyways,
the chorus is like I'm the one that makes me, breaks me, and shapes me.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of statements of just like, you know, like autonomy and like let's all like be like respective of each other's like own bubbles and like we can all thrive together and like and
just how at the end of the day I guess it is a desire to respect also the homogeneity between us all as just like as beings and beings who are capable of creativity in many facets. And I feel like that's something I'm not gonna say that. Well, I was gonna say particularly in music, but it's also like everywhere, because unfortunately the reality is that hierarchy does exist. Hierarchy has been created to exist, but it really does not need to. In order to respect everybody as like a living force, there really shouldn't be hierarchy.
Totally.
Yeah. And with something as vulnerable as creation and expressing yourself and like the arts in general, I feel like it's been made in a way where it's like only some people can do this and only some people are expressive and only it's like no, it's just like the spaces that those people were able to have access to, or you know, you were in art class and you drew something and then your teacher gave you a 2 and then you told yourself, oh, I can't draw, so you never drew again. Or, you know what I mean? So it's just it's like little things I feel that like really take a toll on like what we tell ourselves we can and can't do, or where we can, how we can exist when it's like, you can do whatever you want. Like,
you should do whatever you want.
Whatever
like,
your heart calls for.
Yeah. Totally. I love very important messages in there, in that one song. That's crazy. Yeah. I love the autonomy aspect, and it feels both the first song and the second song, Faults, from what I'm reading, they both feel very kind of like humble, in a way, like there's a lot of humility in there. But tell me about faults, because the chorus is it's my fault, right? But what are you talking about in that?
I feel like I just remember something was happening at the time that we wrote that song. I don't remember what it was.
I don't remember either.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was like something that was just happening to me or something that was happening to both of us or something that was happening in the Cherry Pit. I honestly don't remember, but I remember something was happening where like I think we were like both like just reflecting on like how shoot.
I would say accountability.
Yeah, well,
like,
yes, flat out.
Or just on the lines of like, and I'll just like in anything like if when you mess up, it's like it's my fault. Yeah.
Sometimes you mess up and it's your fault, but also you can cause good things to happen in your life, and it's also your fault.
It's also your fault.
Yeah, like
there you go. Okay,
it was like kind of like I think we were trying to explore like the middle ground between like accountability in that sense, where like so much of like I guess the emotion around accountability, at least in the last few years, has been kind of around like I guess it kind of holding hands with shame, and like I feel like sometimes accountability in the way it's been spoken of has been trying to I guess like cover up the feeling of shame or say that they should be more like intertwined, and it's generally like circumstantial, honestly, overall, like in how that should be like spread out or like split down. But at the same time, there should be a balance. I feel like because accountability, the word itself kind of just became, I don't want to say a buzzword because not that it's like a new word, but it just was being used in a way that I think really flattened it to understand or to internalize what accountability really means. It is all things. It's both things of like and also it just doesn't have to be on a spectrum. It doesn't have to be in a binary of like good or bad. Like accountability is a good thing because it's a form of like self-affirmation, and like it's my fault that I woke up today. It's my well, okay, that's not true. My mom would disagree with that. It's my fault that we're here at this point now. It's also your fault.
Right.
It's also your fault. It's also all of your guys' fault in a great way.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I feel like that word is so loaded, fault. Like it's loaded, but I like that you're kind of unpacking it a little bit. And yeah, that's beautiful.
I feel like it makes it easier to like, I hope that it would, I feel like for me, it's made it easier for me to forgive myself in times where like I have messed up. Yeah.
Totally. Very cool. Awesome. Well, let's keep trucking along in the set list. After that, you had At Odds. Yeah. Right? Do you have anything to say about that tune in particular?
That song is a song I wrote during a rainstorm in 2021. No, it was 2022 by that point. And Bob and I had been living together at that point. And so, like, I think nobody else was home. And we were just like, this rainstorm is crazy. And we were just, like, sitting in our living room. We had a really cool, like, window to the back. And, like, it would get super foggy all the time. And it was just very beautiful. And we were like, let's just think around. And I had that tune in my voice memos for a while. And I had showed it to him. He was like, let's play around with that.
Yeah.
And I remember I was a bit heartbroken over a situation that was like still kind of evolving at that point, of like a friend breakup, and I was just like, what's going on? And yeah, I think that's all I can really say about that. But that song has been with me for a minute. It has held many emotions, which is cool. I'm growing to appreciate that way more with like any form of creation, artistic creation, and how it like does live with you from the point that you make it. Because I feel like I never think it's going to. I never think about that in the moment. And I always get like so shy about like, it's like I'll make something. It's like me showing an emotion and then I'll be like, no, like no one's
putting it away.
Yeah, but that is, I don't need to do that. No, none of us do.
Yeah. I love when you can attribute a song to like a specific memory. I like that image of you like in the rainstorm and stuff.
Yeah.
Coming up with that.
Yeah, I love that too. Like that's a stored memory forever.
Yeah. You were talking about how you had the song idea on your voice memos. Can you tell me about how both of you, can you tell me about how like song ideas come to you and how you capture those ideas when they come to you?
Yeah, for me, it's different sometimes. Sometimes I'll just like, it'll be like 2 a.m. and I'll be like, I'm making a song right now. And then I'll just like be sitting with my bass and just listening, honestly, listening for something that like pulls my interest in like a way that I'm like, okay, like I want to like flow with that and see where that takes me. Sometimes it's like in a jam and I'm jamming with homies and then I'm freestyling and then I'm like, whoa, that verse was fire. And I took out my notebook and I like write down the verse. And then I'll like, go into the back room and I'll like hum the melody so I don't forget like what those lyrics go to or something. I don't know. I love when you just like don't expect anything and you like sit down with your instrument or you sit down with your notebook, whatever, and you just like kind of just let it come. And I think that's like most of like where my songwriting happens is when I like when I open the space up for myself to just like receive whatever comes to me, because I'm really inspired by people who write about experiences, and I guess I do in a way that is not as like storyline, like here's what happened, this is how I felt about it, here's whatever, you know what I mean? It's like more like symbolic and stuff, and then later when I read my lyrics, I'll be like, whoa, like okay, like I can connect it to different things, even though I wasn't like thinking in that moment of like, how can I convey this? You know what I mean? It just like came out. So yeah, that's like my favorite, just like letting it come and holding space for myself to usher it in, basically.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to do that more, because I am a super like melody based person. I love writing, but writing and music are very separate for me. I think maybe, I don't know, because I write a lot of poetry, but I don't know. I think it's taken me some time to like get used to like doing it all at once. And so usually I will just like record down a tune. And unfortunately these days I don't often have like a lot of time to like really go forward. So I just make sure that I just get the tune idea down. And I feel like I have way more just like melodies written out than lyrics that are associated with them. And I've always thought that, my like ear being more like tuned into melodies has to do with the fact that I grew up playing the violin, and so I'm like really used to like I guess the orchestral setting and the matter of like listening for all of those harmonies from like every single person in my orchestra, and like building upon that, and kind of just making an ambiance through sound rather than like necessarily expressing my feeling through words. But definitely in the last few years, playing with a lot of different people has changed the way that I go about writing songs sometimes. Yeah, I think that's all I can really say about it at this point.
I think both of you make a great pair then, it seems. Like you being melody based and you, and it seems like you're lyrically based but also musical in a way too. So yeah, totally.
True, I've never thought about that actually.
Hey, Fifth House. Yeah, cool. Tell me about maybe some songwriters either locally or abroad that really inspire you. You were talking about how being in the scene has kind of changed your way of going about it. Who are some people that inspire you?
Great question. I'm gonna go with recently.
Yeah.
Lutalo Jones, like, literally has like, I like just rerun, play that again. I hop in the car, aux gets handed to me. What are we playing? Lutalo. Anyway, I've just been really admiring his songwriting. I just like sit, because lyrics for me, I think, are like the biggest part of my song to me too. Because though sometimes they're not like intentional with the way they come out, what I'm saying like has for me, and I feel like it could have weight for others, why I'm expressing it, like what it holds is very deep, and I feel like can be like thought about, and like, you know, somebody can take it home and kind of like dig into it or whatever. Yeah. But his songwriting has just really inspired me to like dig deeper in kind of like a very like poetically painted like narration, basically, I guess. Yeah, I'll let Zoe talk because I want to think of another one, because I've definitely been really heavily inspired.
There's a few people who are running through my head. Someone who's like even adjacent to Lutalo, that was like one of the first people who popped through my head, was Adrian Lenker. Oh my God, like incredible. Like I feel I've been in, and I wouldn't say that I'm like the biggest Big Thief fan in the world. Like I love Big Thief. I'm just thinking I have some friends who like really love Big Thief, and like her writing style is just so descriptive and so cathartic. Honestly, I feel like I can really hear that release in her way of like really putting so much time in describing places and people and things that she's not even like, oftentimes I feel like she's not explicitly describing the feeling, but because she is so open about like delineating those intricacies, it just, every time it just like sends shivers down my spine. But a few other people I'm thinking of is Dev Hynes. Blood Orange is like one of my favorite artists of all time. He is just wild. Like he just does so much, and I feel like it's kind of hard to speak about him sometimes because he does so much. But he puts a lot of texture into his production style that I've always really appreciated. I don't think I could ever, I maybe shouldn't say that, I feel like I don't ever think I could like replicate it the same way, but I really just appreciate like heavy on the texture and his guitar melodies as well. And he plays the cello, and every cellist I've met is super cool.
True.
And then I'm thinking of a few other people. Alex G is one of my favorite artists of all time as well. He is just so silly and I like that, but he's also very serious in a sense, just like in the casual way in which he like shares his life. And I think that's something I find myself inspired by the most, of like how so much of his music is about like stuff that he has experienced, but he does it in a way that is like not super explicit. And I know that I can be I'm not the most explicit about the way I like to share things that are going on in my life. But then now I'm also thinking about like other people who have like, I think had way more of an impact on me are like my friends. And like the two people I'm thinking of right now is Bob, who had played drums for us during the summer. And Bob and I have known each other for a while. And then my friend Misky, and like her writing style is incredible. She is also a very big Thief fan. Cool. But yeah, anyone else?
Yes, I was thinking of a person that's had a really big impact on me is 15, 16, like writing these like heavy, I don't even know, like heart-wrenching, like mystic, universal, like language, like I don't know, like I think definitely her writing has definitely inspired me heavily. And then I want to say too, King Cruel, because I saw him in concert during the summer at First Ave, and I was like blown away, and I wasn't expecting to be like as blown away as I was, and because I really love the way he articulates his lyrics, and then the things that he says, I'm like, how do you say that in a song? And I'm like, how did you just say that, but you made it sound like that? And I want to do that as well. Like, it's super inspiring. Yeah, and then as like somebody that's local too, I want to just shout out my friend's show. They're a performer in Minneapolis, and yeah, they have these like really like grungy, funky bass lines, and their like performance and their lyrics are super just like they just come grab your heart. I don't know. Like I did a show with them and I was feeling a little bit down, and after seeing them perform, I felt like I had like life breathed into me afterwards.
Yeah,
like
cool.
it was super cool. So yeah.
Awesome.
I think two other people that I know I like really
it coming.
cannot forget are Nina Simone and Beach House. I am a huge fan of both of them for different reasons. Understandably, they're very different. Beach House, I feel like a nerd when I talk about Beach House just because I don't know why. Maybe that's a result of like being on Tumblr when I was younger. But Beach House is their melodies are so simple and they're so packed with emotion. I think what I like about them is that I understand how they do it. It's like I don't think their music is difficult to understand, but it's just so like, I just remembered the song She's So Lovely like this week, and that is one song that I cannot listen to once. I have to listen to it over and over again. And like even so with like, I know people like to pretend that Depression Cherry is not that good, because yes, Beach House does have better albums, that is true, but it's so good. Like it's just so good, and it makes sense. There's just, you think about like some music that just makes sense for being so popular just because of the simple fact that music is good. And like there's so many scientific like things to prove why certain melodies hit people in different ways, and it's just like that should never be understated, even though like I don't know, popularity of something should never understate it, but I understand how it happens. And then with Nina Simone, I think Nina helped me appreciate my voice a lot more, because I have a naturally lower voice, but I feel like throughout my life I've gone like back and forth of like trying to raise it, and not even like through singing, because I only really started singing like honestly like through Fifth House. Like I had been singing on my own like in the shower or whatever, but I don't know, like singing was just not really a thing in my life growing up, just because I didn't have like a voice like Ariana Grande. And so it's just like, I was talking about this with my friend Misky last night, about how just like that is understandably something that is like always so celebrated, the ability to hit high notes without really thinking about like the full variety of sound that can come out of like a person's voice. Because I fully believe that everybody can sing. Like you literally, like all you need to do is just like practice it and get used to the feeling of your own voice. Because mostly about breath control, it's mostly about like feeling comfortable, because like singing, when it's like done right, like literally feels so good, and everybody can sing. Yeah. And Nina, I think, though I can't, there's so many things I'm thinking about with her. She just means so much to so many people, and she means so much to the time of which she was alive. And I just feel lucky to know that and like know her sound. Yeah,
you guys have a great variety of influences in there that you named. That's awesome. Keep those names in mind, because I'm going to ask you a question at the end that kind of relates to that. But two more questions, because we're getting to time here. One thing I really wanted to ask you is, what does the future of Fifth House look like? If you want to answer that, feel free to.
For context, we're laughing because we're going on a little break.
Yeah, so we don't know. Honestly, I guess because I'm in school right now and I'm just trying to get that done. But then I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like just as Fifth House started being so like feeling super aligned, like I feel like there really wasn't like any like, it just felt like it went in like this constant state of flow. Like it was like, then here's the next thing, then here's the next thing, and like if like things were being handed to us, and like it just like felt like kind of smooth, and at least for like my experience in the first time of like playing, like forming a band with other people, that I think one of the big things about this break or like the time right now that we're in is like I think maintaining our friendship through like our break in the music, and then when the time comes around like to like I feel like focus on it again or even like bring it up as conversation of like where it is going, I have faith that like where we are going to go on our separate paths will help us know like when that time is to like when if we want to come back to this or if we want it to transform into something else. So like I don't doubt the flow, you know what I mean? Like it's brought us here, so you know, if that's the end, that's the end, but like nothing really dies, so like I wonder where the energy how the energy will like form or transform into like something else. So I don't know. Yeah,
I agree, because just like life be happening, and that's really annoying sometimes. And I feel like once like life just allows us to have a bit more control, it'll feel easier and like feel good to like get back into that. But I think it's really good to like for us to not push ourselves through the period where like life is happening, you know.
Totally, yeah.
And I think it'll just help us come back even stronger whenever we want to.
Yeah. My 2 cents is that I hope you don't deprive people of this beautiful sound, but I know that you have things going on, so take your time, but please do come back to it, because I love it, and I know a lot of other people do as well. So okay, cool. My last question for you now. I want you to build a dream bill for yourself. Fifth house is on it. You get three other folks, 3 other people that are alive that get to join you. So maybe
you have your own, I have my own.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you can come up together.
That makes a lot of sense.
Well, you get 3 others. So you guys, and then 3 other artists. So
we have to do
you
it
get
together?
one. Well, no, you get one. You get one, then you come up with one together.
Okay.
How about that?
Okay.
Okay.
Oh my.
On a bill with Fifth House, probably at 7th Street or something.
I also like can't like I'm thinking about like, well, what would make sense?
This
like,
is dreamland. It doesn't really need to make sense.
I like who would bring it.
Honestly, one person who would be super fun to play with, Papa. I
There you
like.
go.
No, I want.
All right.
That would be really fun.
We should play with Papa.
Okay.
Fifth house,
I
Papa.
accept. Okay, so we got Fifth House, Papa. What would I say?
This is a hard question.
So hard. Okay.
It doesn't have to be local. I don't know if you're only thinking local, but it can be anything, anywhere, at any time.
That makes it easier. Oh,
Willow
okay.
Smith? Are you Willow Smith on there?
Nah. Nah. Okay, I'll just say.
Jaden Smith? Together?
I'm gonna say. I don't know, guys.
What about Pretty Sick?
That would be cool.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say. I don't know why this popped into my head. I have Alif. He plays in my Soulflower band. He has a band called The Dregs.
The Dregs, yes.
The Dregs are like beyond our time. I feel like that, and like, yeah, it's like it's the presence, the instrumentation, the lyrics, the vibe. It's a vibe. So I'm just gonna say The Dregs.
Okay. Is that the 4 then? We got Fifth House, Papa, The Dregs. And what was the...
I'm not sure. There's so many other bands that I'm thinking of too, because I'm also thinking of the band Cruza would be really cool. This is...
I know. I can't believe I can't even think about. I guess I haven't thought about this either.
Yeah, because I
Should
like...
have warned you.
Hello Yellow.
Ooh, that would be fun. That
There
would
it
They're
be
is.
a
fun.
band based out of like Oakland or something, or
Cool.
used to be. They're fire.
Yeah.
Alright.
Oh, there's so many people.
Okay.
Bill of
I'm gonna
our
lock it in right
dreams.
there. You guys, your minds are gonna wander.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. At 7th Street entry.
Yes.
Let's book it. Let's book it. Okay, cool.
This Saturday.
Awesome. Great. Well, that about does it. Thank you so much for coming in, Fifth House.
Thank
Appreciate you
you.
guys.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to leave our listeners with?
Rock on.
That's all that needs to be said. Great.
Rock on.
All right. We're going to kick it back to the DJ booth for some more local music until 5 p.m. Please stick around for it. This is Radio K, Real College Radio.